David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with a rather interesting review. I was recently contacted by a company who asked if I would care to review a Kickstarter project of theirs. I'm always interested to see what new and unique things folks are coming up with. The name of the company is EDCest, and the product they are producing is a pen, but it's unlike anything I had ever seen before. It's a pen for your watch. Now, it is a rollerball, not a fountain pen. Let's not get crazy here. But the name of the product is called the EDCest pen. And I will admit that I had zero expectations that this would be a worthwhile product. It just seemed kind of silly and useless. A pen for your watch? Now, they did have a previous Kickstarter, which was very similar in design, but it was a small utility knife. And I think that actually sounds like a pretty cool idea. I could see myself getting use out of that product, but I wasn't sure about a watch pen. After a couple of weeks, my watch pen arrived, and while it is not a perfect product, I actually found myself being rather impressed by it. It's always fun to be surprised like that when you have zero expectations about something. So what I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this unique pen, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it, as well as show a writing sample. In order to do that, please join me over here at camera 2. The product arrives in this small box. I'm assuming the box will be like this. This was for their knife project, but I think that they'll probably end up using a box similar to this. And inside, we actually have two pens here. Let me go ahead and set one of them aside, and we'll get a closer look at this one here. That this is 3D printed, but it's a very high quality printing. It's made from a process called SLS 3D printing, which stands for selective laser sintering. It's a 3D printing technique which uses a laser to fuse together small particles of plastic or other materials. This is opposed to other types of 3D printing where layers of material are kind of built up. It's really flexible and it's light. I mean, I barely feel it in my hand, and it's sturdy and even a bit soft. On the side here, it says 20 millimeter. This is available in several different sizes to accommodate a variety of watch bands. The other one I have here says 23 millimeter. I thought this was interesting because even though this is designed to be used with a band 3 millimeters wider, it isn't 3 millimeters wider than the 20 millimeter version. It's only about half a millimeter larger. It's really hard to tell here. And how it accommodates the additional width is by the thickness of the sides being reduced, as you can see here. And at first I thought that might limit the structural stability of this one, but it's still very strong and very sturdy. I just thought that was an interesting solution to the size issue. Underneath here is where the watch band is inserted, and then we have the pen. It just pops right off and then pops right back in. This is the pen portion here, and then this portion here they call the sheath. We'll talk more about the pen here in a moment. I just first wanted to show you how to install this on your watch. First of all, you need a watch with a rubber or canvas band. Now, I have a few watches, but I'm really not like a watch guy. I'm self-aware enough to realize that I could become a watch guy if I'm not careful, but I realize that I don't need another expensive hobby. If you thought fountain pens were expensive, watches can be on an entirely different level. So something like this fossil right here, which is a watch I really care for, will not work because of the metal band, and you really can't slide it on there, and it's not going to stay on here. I have a different watch here. I was recently gifted this fossil, which has become my daily driver, but this watch has a rather thick leather band. While the pen here does work with this band, I would be concerned that with prolonged use, the band could show some discoloration or indentation. So I wouldn't feel comfortable using it with this watch. But I do, however, have this watch here. This is a San Diego Padres themed Timex. Baseball season is upon us, and I am a lifelong Padres fan. This has been a bit of a frustrating offseason for the Padres. More subtractions to the roster than additions, and lots of question marks heading into this season. They still have a very talented roster, and we'll see how things go this season. There are 5 teams in Major League Baseball which have never won a World Series, and the Padres are one of them. There used to be 6, but the Rangers won last year, getting their first. So hopefully at some point in my lifetime, the Padres will be able to get themselves off that list as well. While some of this band is leather, the part here, as well as the other side, is nylon or canvas or whatever that material is. And what happens is the pen just gets slid on just like this and put into place. Let me go ahead and just put this on. I'm trying to do this in the screen, and it is not working. There we go. There. So now we have a watch on. And as I mentioned before, it is extremely light. I really don't even feel it on here at all. And I don't feel it on the underside of my wrist either. It's not too bulky. It is thin enough that, I really haven't found it to get caught on a cuff of a long sleeve shirt or anything like that. So basically, I don't even notice I have this on. And that also you could have it on in any orientation. So right now you can pull it off in this way, but if you wanted to, actually, let me remove this. If you wanted to put it the other way, if you were left-handed and wanted to come off on the other side, you could have it in there as well. Okay, let's take a look at the actual pen. In order to access it, you simply pop it off. You know how with fountain pens, there are just certain pens with really satisfying capping mechanisms? Well, the process of removing and replacing this pen is very satisfying. The mechanism is easy to operate. It just kind of snaps in and snaps out. And that when it's in there, it's really secure. I haven't had any issues with it popping off or anything like that, so it's secure. I also like how it's reversible, so that right now when you pull it off, you can see how the tip of the pen is facing kind of down to the left. But if you wanted to orient it the other way, you could do so as well. It fits in here either way. This is a ballpoint, and you can see here that there's no traditional section to this pen. However, you can grip it in a couple of ways. I have a tendency to grip it like this. You might grip it on top. There's a couple of different ways. It does take some getting used to. In regard to writing, it is a unique experience. For a couple of different reasons. For the most part, this is meant just to, jot down a quick note. You're not going to want to have any extended writing sessions here. Now, something I noticed immediately that for me, when writing, my hand gets in the way so that I really can't even see the tip of the pen when I write. And so it's just a little awkward. So like when right now you see, this is pretty much my vision when I'm writing, that I really don't see the end of the pen. And it just takes a little bit of getting used to it. Even if I grip the pen a little bit further back and have visibility to this, just right here, you can see, even though I have visibility to the end, you're really not seeing that tip. So it's just something that feels a little bit weird. But then again, I'd only be using this to jot down something quick or simple. Still, I'd like to be able to see the tip when I write. Okay, let's go ahead and remove the refill. Now this is, let me go ahead and just push it out here. It's sometimes just easy to do with a toothpick or another converter. There you go. This is just a standard ballpoint refill. And certain sizes fit a little bit better than others, but I will refer you to the Kickstarter campaign for that detail. This is literally just cut down. Now, I had some initial concerns about this. First of all, this end is just open here. You can see if I stick a toothpick in there, ink comes out. It's just open. So I had concerns that with the ink exposed to the air, that some ink might seep out. and or if my wrist had some sudden movement, then some might shake out. And I haven't seen that to be the case. I actually took this outside and tried to shake the ink out of it, and I couldn't get any to come out when I was even trying to do it. So I feel confident that nothing's leaking out the back here. If you run out of ink, you will need to purchase refills. I have some right here. These are refills. And then you will need to cut them down yourself. And I had some initial concerns about this. So here's the refill, and here are some scissors. And I thought that if you cut into it, and you would have to kind of measure out where it needs to go, that it might cause a mess, because you are literally cutting into where there is ink. So if I just physically cut into here, you could see that it did get ink on the scissors. So I wouldn't want to use my good scissors. These aren't my good scissors. These are my cheap scissors. And so this is what you would want to use for cutting this. So then all you do is insert there, and then you can just have it go down, and you are good to go again. Okay, and as you can see, as I was playing around, I did get a bit of ink on my hands. Now, part of this is because I'm doing the review and I'm trying to do 3 things at once, but it is potentially a little bit of a messy ordeal, so I would want to do it in a rather controlled space. So, will I use this? I really wasn't sure, so I wore it around for a few days, and I did find myself needing it around the house. I was, hanging a picture and trying to do some math in my head, but then I thought, hey, I have a pen on my wrist, but then I didn't have any paper, so I had to look around for that. So maybe there could be an additional add-on where you have another sheath on the other side of your watch that dispenses sticky notes or something like that. But I'm just kidding. This is an interesting product. Does it need to exist? I'm not certain. Is it for a limited market? Yes. But does the product deliver on its promises and do what the company says it will do? Absolutely. The idea is well executed. I was impressed by the build quality of this relatively inexpensive product. And while you would not be purchasing this for an outstanding writing experience, in certain situations, I found it to be useful. I mentioned it was fairly inexpensive. For the black model here, the Kickstarter project has it priced at $15. There's also a gray model, and that one is $27. As with most Kickstarter campaigns, there are several different options and combinations, so I'll put a link to the campaign in the notes below if you would care to learn more about it. And I've enjoyed playing around with it. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.